Hello and welcome to post-match reaction to Utah Warriors versus Austin Elite, brought to you by DrivingMaul. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, your best place for rugby opinion and predictions. So get in and see all the stuff. The game finished 41-22, so relatively comfortable to the Warriors in the end to pick up their first victory of the season. And joining me is the none other UA Eagle? No. USA Eagle. Tony Riddle. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you, Paul.
Oh dear, all these tongue twisters. I don't know.
Happy Friday night in Seattle.
Or happy Saturday lunchtime over here or 3 p.m. in the afternoon over here in New Zealand.
Yes, indeed.
So it looked a bit like it was here today, basically wet for the game, and that didn't help things for either team tonight, did it?
You know, tonight was the night because I'm really watching these games very closely now for the quality of the individual players, teams, just really taking a good close look at our professional league. I never really noticed before how synthesizing the turf field is and HDTV is towards the game. So watching that game on HDTV, when you couldn't see the rain pelting down, watching the game on HDTV, you have a higher expectation, and it's all clean because of the turf. There's no dirt or anything like that. It's hard to grasp why they're dropping the ball so much. And I don't think we're giving that enough credit. But later on in the show, when we talk about the game, I'll give you my candid comments about the handling, regardless of the weather.
And that's it. Admittedly, we watched, was a Utah home game that we talked about last weekend as well. But they've got a turf pitch, or an artificial pitch. You have up in Seattle as well. Are they all artificial pitches, or are there some grass pitches as well out there?
There are definitely some grass pitches. I think Houston is definitely playing on grass, NOLA as well. But it's the same situation as you've got across the world now with these pitches. There were a couple of boys that Jensen who rambled up the field there before that last Utah try. Maybe I can't remember if it was awarded or not, but he was a big lock. It looked like he got brought down right onto his head, and you could see him holding his head after the play was over. It's as a man who's been concussed many times, it's an issue for sure. These turf fields for sure.
Now they are. There are certain players, and Jack Nowell is one in England who famously who seems to always gets rested whenever they're playing Saracens or Newcastle, who have that same style of pitch.
Right.
So there are players who have knee injuries as well, who anecdotally, because all the research apparently says it's the same, but anecdotally say they don't like playing on that kind of pitch. So so that is interesting.
Well, the 4 pounds of titanium, or if I may, 2 kilos of titanium in my left knee is twitching right now as you talk about stories of knee injuries and things like that. So, no, I get it. I walked out on the Seawolves new pitch, and it's fantastic. It's only been laid a few weeks, and it's just beautiful and soft, and it's very real feeling. But when you're hit at an oblique, at an angle, I don't think that there's too much of a problem, but coming straight down onto a turf field like that, it's brutal. Brutal. There's nothing like it.
And I think there is definitely an element of some of these pitches take time to settle as well. And
yes, absolutely.
So I think you're going to see the bounce will change as the Seattle pitch beds in, and so that's going to be interesting as well to see how that changes.
We'll talk about it a little right after the half, though. You look at Morath making that error right at the second half kickoff. He puts the ball deep, it skids off the turf, goes in over the end line. So Austin scrum. Suniola takes that beautiful inside pass, the great offload to Hanko, and Austin score a try, within a minute of the second half starting because of an error on the kick that the turf field would have made a difference. So the players have to get used to it as well, particularly as wet as it was tonight. It must have been really slick.
Yes, but when it's a home team player doing that, I've got less sympathy. When it's an away team player, I have some
Fair enough.
sympathy.
Absolutely, sure.
They're supposed to be practicing on there. Yeah. And I guess actually the other thing we should talk, since we're talking about home advantage, is the travel that these teams are going through. So for people who are in Europe, the teams jump in a coach, drive up the road for an hour, and they're at the next ground ready for a game.
Right.
It's not the same over in the US, is it? I mean, I think I saw a comment that Austin even had to fly via Phoenix or something to get to Utah. They're pretty long journeys.
That might be correct. Yeah. Well, they are. But quite frankly, I mean, it's I don't know, door to door, maybe 6 or 7 hours. You're with 28, 30 of your mates. Going on a little rugby tour, man. There's not, there's nothing to this travel continental in the United States. Nothing to it at all.
It does mean that a day's taken up traveling rather than training or recuperating or whatever.
Oh, definitely.
So, hence,
absolutely. You're not driving an hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not driving an hour up the road. That's for sure. You're on a plane every match.
Garrett, thank you for joining us. He goes, Utah finally showing some heart. Maybe the crowds will follow the W. To be fair, looking at the weather we've had in Utah the last 2 weeks, even me as an avid supporter would have thought twice about going out and watching the game today. So good on them for those that did turn up.
No, the announcers at the end, Hightower even said he thought it was a pretty decent crowd, particularly considering the weather, and that everyone stayed till the end that was there. So it's a bummer about the weather getting people out there. Unfortunately, last week we had a couple of games in really weird time slots. Thursday at 8:00 kickoff.
Okay, it looks like I might have lost Tony briefly there, but yeah, the last week had the time zones. Hopefully this week the times are being a bit better for kickoffs. Right. But yeah, with that weather, that's not a. I'm happy to give the fans the benefit of the doubt on that one. So it did start off wet. It started off kind of not raining but wet, and I thought the announcers are just playing it up at that point, and but early on, 13 for the Elite, got a good break, and when a lot of the game was centered around the 212s, who are two big boys, it was interesting to see one of the outside backs get an early touch of the ball, because and from that the Elite got a penalty. Interesting to see them going for points rather than the corner. But maybe that was an element of the, and he missed it, unfortunately. Maybe that was an element of the of the conditions.
Yeah. Paul, can you hear me okay?
I can now, yeah.
Oh, good. No, the battle of the 12s was great, right? You had the 36-year-old Roland Suniola, who had a beautiful game, particularly in the second half, and on the front foot. He did some great stuff with the ball in hand. Setting up the Honko, I showed some brilliant skills from a crafty center. But I don't know who was named the man of the match, but for me, there's no question it was Lasike, creating things from nothing, and defensively as well. He had a phenomenal game, and it was nice to see those two guys, sort of head to head, old Eagle to new Eagle. It's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah, but lots will talk about the tries that Lasike set up. But he was also happy to get in over the ball and turn over the ball as well. He was he was a champion for them both in attack and defence.
Definitely.
For them.
Absolutely. When they defended on the try, definitely.
Yep. So, but it took the forwards actually at the end of the day to score to create the first try. Suddenly Utah got some front foot ball, showed some offloading skills, which was very nice, and some good hands. That sucked in the Elite defence, and it spun wide, and they just had too many players, didn't they, Utah, out there? Yeah,
no, definitely. The two styles were different. I thought Utah did not show much structure at all. In general, I thought they play. It's like 15 guys playing sevens at times. However, that said, the athleticism of those guys, you got Lasike, Polafau coming in as substitute, as a starter, and then having is it Vunicola? Vunicola, I think the other center come in. Some big bashing boys, big athletes. Jared Whippy had a great game, and then as they said, you've got the experienced Kurt Morath, who will be kind of an older figure, a big brother figure to a lot of these Tongan players. So they've got a nice thing going there. But I didn't think their structure was great. I thought Austin, before their first it was nice to see Austin their first try.
But before we got to the Austin first try, we had that try when we had another we had a pick and goes from the scrum 5 meters out, and then it came out and Lasike powered over for his first try. So both the Utah tries early doors were made by the forwards or came from a kind of forward set piece before they released the backs.
Right,
as you say. And then, sorry, you wanted to talk about the Austin try.
Right. Well, I like the way they consolidated the ball. They didn't look structured at all for the first 20 minutes. Austin put the ball in the 28th minute, and maybe 3 or 4 minutes leading up to that try, they consolidated the ball, ran through some phases in the forwards, and got a little sort of momentum, good, feel to the flow of the game, because they, up until that time, for 28 minutes, they had no flow in the game. And it was nice. That was a nice counter to the Lasike try. Austin could have folded right there, and it could have been a lot to a little at the end of the game. I really was impressed the way they came back to score that try.
Relying on their borrowed player from the New York United or United Rugby New York, how the name is,
right?
To sneak over there. Being a little guy, always like to see the little guys get a little bit of.
He's a nice player, Walsh, a very nice player.
Yep. And then we had basically a good sort of felt like 10 minutes of dominance by Utah just before half time. Quite a few penalties, and you're thinking, take the three, but they didn't. They kept on going for the corner. They picked for a yellow card because of a high tackle from. And then they decided that actually, even though we can't see any dominance, our forwards, there was a bit of macho-ness coming from the forwards, I think, and we had the forwards demanding every penalty we're going to have a scrum, and eventually they got there. As someone who's in that situation as a scrum, calling for that scrum, is there kind of a macho kind of, we will push our way over here, and perhaps they
100%, no question. I mean, I played a few years ago, but I'm sure the mentality is still the same. Particularly when you're a man up in the scrum and you've got 5 meters to push the ball over, and now they're not going to let you necessarily push the ball over. There'll be a penalty try before that really happens, because the scrum will have dissolved by then. So a lot more penalty tries under the post as opposed to guys actually touching the ball down now. But to lose a tight head when you have a man advantage in the scrum, 5 meters out, I was trying to rack my brain. Maybe I'll call some friends to see if I was ever in a scrum where that happened. But that's horrible. There's absolutely no excuse to lose that, to not only lose the scrum, not to push the ball over, but to lose that scrum with a man advantage against the head. The lack of killer instinct there in the forwards was horrible. Absolutely just non-existent.
It was.
You could see it in their eyes. I replayed it, and you could just see it in their eyes. They just didn't look like they were interested.
Which is amazing. You've got the perfect opportunity to hammer it home, and they didn't. And
absolutely.
They eventually managed to get went out wide after a few phases. The ball hit the grass, and quite often when the ball hits the grass, the defence stand up or it confuses them. Luckily, it went to hand, and that's what actually meant what breached the elite defence there. Right. So Utah definitely got lucky to go into the half time at 22-7. And you gave me a quick call at half time. Went, Paul, this is horrible, didn't you? So.
Well, I'm looking at the quality of the games and fair play to the conditions on the field. It's very difficult to sit at your home and comment on handling and things like that when the balls look like they're, just like slick watermelons sometimes. I mean, there was a lot of balls that squirting out of people's hands. So, and those are the conditions. So you've got to play those conditions, and throwing the ball around like it's a sevens game probably isn't the best idea. But, it was a compelling first half. In some ways I just thought it was very sloppy, and I thought the entire game, there were far too many meters made off of first phase rugby. with some either poor systems or just poor tackling commitment or a combination thereof. I just think the first phase meters was far too great for a professional, for a first-class professional rugby game.
And we mentioned earlier about how the Utah Warriors are unstructured and a bunch of players. And when you see the winger running, thinking that basically the line of the sort of medical box around the substitutes is the sideline,
right?
And he's catching the ball out of play and trying to run down out of play. Like, guys, no, this is beyond unstructured. This is just getting silly now. And to see that from Utah, where we saw that from them, was very poor. There was another time where they got the ball, and the commentator said the Utah need to get their attacking pods together because their players were just getting so isolated. There was no support around them. There's no support around us.
It was very sloppy. I mean, maybe the weather has some things to do with that, but it was very static. The backs having to play the ball off their back foot rather than the front foot moving forward. It just was pretty sloppy. What can we say?
So yeah, things did improve a bit in the second half, even though it got wetter. I mean, we could really see the rain coming down in that second half. And we mentioned, you've already talked about Austin's try there. That got them back into the game at 22-12. But to then give up a try straight afterwards to where they didn't claim the line out. They didn't claim the restart. Restart bounces out. We have a line out. You lose your own line out in your own half. Was that one? Oh no, sorry, wrong one. No, sorry. The Warriors went down the field. It was a trick line out, actually. Sorry, that got that score. Go on.
Right. And then again, that's another first phase play that defensively is, these teams have been together a while now. They would have planned for that type of, play around the front of the line out, but that's just, that's like playing checkers 101, that play. I mean, you guard that play and the first phase defense I just thought was poor. And I'd like just to make a comment, maybe to some coaches and younger players out there, potential captains on the field. The Morath kid had a great game. He's a wonderful number 10. Him and McGee and Holder, a number of the 10s in the league. Guilliman today was excellent. But Morath kind of, runs a nice game. It's like he doesn't even need to take a shower after the game, right?
We got a shower on the pitch,
again, I think. Oh God, did he ever? But I just thought, making that mistake and giving up those 7 points by what is arguably a mental error, right? In a hotly contested professional rugby game, whether it's at this level, and these games are important, right? There's a lot of people putting a lot of money, a lot of people paying a lot of things. They want to see performance, and hopefully the difference between these games will be that one mistake that is made, by the one mistake where a kicker kicks it long and 7 points results from it the other way. It's just it's such a mental game that way that those type of mistakes have to get punished. And it was nice to see Austin do that today. Austin punished them for that mistake.
But there are too many mistakes out there at the moment that are getting. Because they had that punt, then immediately Austin give a penalty in their 22. They kicks the corner. We have that, as you say, that chest piece, clear trick try. And at that point, I put on Facebook because I was watching on Facebook, being international. Typed in, all right, that's it, game over at 27-12. And everyone's like, it's too early to call that. You can't say that. And I'm like, look. The Austin Elite have to score 3 scores behind. They made 1 score in the first half. They've not shown any way they're going to come back.
That's right.
From it.
That's right.
They nearly made me eat my words, to be fair, but they got a bit lazy and a bit tired at the end, unfortunately. But
let's put it this way: about 10 or 15 minutes before the end. Let me just see where the timing was. No, maybe 20 minutes before when it was 27-22 at the 70th minute. I started to go, Paul's going to ask for the man of the match, and I was like Lisique all the way. So I'm trying to think of the Austin players, right? So that's how, I thought it was going to, I definitely thought Austin might that's the way the momentum was going. And Austin answered nicely a couple of times, but Utah, I was really shocked to see that Utah try right out of the blocks to go up 34-22. I thought Austin would score the next try.
Yeah, they did. They got the So on 60 to 70 minutes, they scored 10 unanswered points. They knew there were 3 scores behind, so they took the penalty because they knew they needed at least that. We then had the Whippy having a great break all the way down the field. Oh. We all think it's a try, and we go back to the TMO, and that's something we should talk about the coverage of this. But this was the first game we had a TMO in, which was which was interesting to see.
Wasn't it great? I mean, wasn't it great? Didn't it make a difference? It gives you so much more confidence in the decision. You don't want to get. I know that they referees maybe overseas are relying on the TMO too much. That's a whole conversation. But I thought today, particularly the first time the TMO was used, was a significant difference and was able to make a decisive call out of one that might have gone the other way. And particularly on the high tackle on the non-try in the left-hand corner, in the lower left-hand corner, the non-try where he went over the top with the high tackle. That was great to see the TMO there. On Honko's try, on Walsh's last try. It was Honko's try when he made that nice break after Suniola. It looked like he might have had a third movement, but he was already over the line when he made the third movement, so the ball had already scored. And again, that was verified by the TMOs. So really create some definition to the game. I became a TMO fan today, for sure. I did. And I didn't have any stake in the game, So I thought it was well used. I thought the referee Scott did a great game. Did a great job. And I thought the presentation of the match was excellent. I thought Dan Power did a super job on the commentary and Hightower on the color.
So let's just go to that then. So what I did want to touch on the comment coverage. Yeah. We're still getting quite a few camera angles a bit too tight in.
Yes.
Now I know a lot of people are saying that they prefer to see where the backs are. Personally, I just want just pan it out a little bit so I can see, so the ball's not getting passed out of shot and suddenly where did that go?
Right. Well, I think I have a feeling, if I may, I have a feeling that the situation has to do with the crowd, maybe not having to show the crowd necessarily. That's been something in the States that I know has been discussed. Or we need, there needs to be a better rugby side of the coverage in terms of those camera angles, because it's absolutely panned in too closely to watch a rugby game effectively. Definitely.
So in terms of, and then the other point was, we've had it on other nights, but tonight for some reason we didn't have the ref mic. So it's always good. Right. It's good to have the ref mic so you can actually hear some of the things he's saying and explaining the decisions. Because it was unfortunate we didn't have that one. I don't know if you know any reason why that might be.
No, not at all.
No, so Garrett, we'll get back to your last question in a second. But so we had that. We had that Whippy break, and went back. Hopefully, Whippy's not too injured. He had to go off in a stretcher, so hopefully we wish him all the best and hope he comes back soon.
He was, you could just, as they were describing what a great family they are, and they are. I remember my mother watching me play rugby and my brother wrestle, and she'd watch games like this, she'd be, and that poor mother having 2 injured sons, that's just got to be brutal. And Jared, he was in tears on the stretcher on the way out. You could just, he's hurt. You could tell he's hurt. He's just very disappointed. If you're a rugby player, you've been injured, and you've had to take some time off. And these guys are so excited to play in this league now. I mean, I'm sure missing anything is just brutal. Yeah.
And also with the junior internationals just coming up as well, players here.
Yes,
we know that Gary Gold is watching all of these games.
Absolutely,
they're feeding back coaching tips to each of the coaches and all the players involved. It's a very there's some very good centralised work off the pitch being done by the Gary Gold and the USA Rugby. So that piece of that bit by so also with that sort of things with those games coming up, that's another reason why players really don't want to get into it this time of year.
Absolutely, no question.
It took a lucky bounce in the end. I mean, we had a lot of grubber kicks through in this game, and none of them seemed to come off apart from the one which had that lucky bounce and led to a try.
Yeah, and another try. Yeah,
I think there was a bit of overcooking that tactic.
Definitely. The back play was very strange today. Austin looked very static, with the exception of Suniola a few times, getting the ball on the front foot. And that the little grubber tactic is a nice tactic for me. I'm just wondering with this greasy ball, that's just a question. It's just a questionable play. I always like to play with the ball in hand in these type of conditions. It didn't come off, definitely. Let's just leave it at that.
So they got that try, got those 10 answer points, and then they seemed to go to sleep or got tired because, as you say, was it, I've forgotten the guy's name now, but the number 4, Matt Jensen, powered off down the
beautiful
field.
Oh, wonderful. Love to see that. Love to see that. Love the 4 and 5. Love the 4 and 5 running down the field.
That reminds you of yourself in your youth, eh? But at least 3 players missed him on the gain line when he broke through. Some pretty poor first up tackling.
The tackling was terrible. The tackling in the entire league, with the exception of Glendale and a little bit what we've seen from the Seawolves, has been pretty poor. It's just been pretty poor. And I know these. Hey, listen, and I don't mean to be negative about it. The standards are going to rise. The coaches are going to take that from this game, and it's just going to be all about defense. It's got to be. I mean, you can't win games. You can't win games allowing the breaks that we're allowed today. No chance, particularly off of the first phase.
Yeah, and both those last 2 tries in the last 10 minutes there came off Austin messing up, losing their own lineouts. Utah picking it off and going on and scoring. But we've been talking about Kurt Morath having a good game. Very nice, quick thinking to chip it over for that last try. He knew where the space was. He was playing very much the heads-up rugby that we've talked about in previous post-game shows. So yes, that's how it finished. Quick question from Garrett online. Second match in a row, Austin has held on to Todd Clever as a substitute. Is that strategy playing experience against exhaustion? To me, he's a guy who retired, was supposed to be only coaching. So he's only playing because of a lack of bodies. I never expected him to be starting. I always thought he'd be a substitute because of that.
I think he provides a great impact off the bench. He actually did today. He didn't get rolling last week. He's been doing the thing with the WWE. He's been looking into, flirting with that a little bit. I think he made a comment in the press. No, I think it'd be great. I love it. We got you. How can you not love it?
I'm not a fan of the whole wrestling thing, so it's just
I'm not either. But I'd be a fan of Todd Clever in the wrestling thing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I would, right? No question. And we have one of the owners of the Rugby United New York. John Layfield was an ex-WWE wrestler and quite a very highly renowned one. So maybe there's some connection there. No, but the Clever issue, I think he's powerful off the bench. He can provide some nice experience for some young players. I'm sure him and Honko have a lot of conversations about how to play the number 7 position. And it was nice to see Honko have a standout second half after literally not having his name called in the first half. That's got to be a frustrating half for a player like that.
Unfortunately, we lost Tony again. But yeah, clearly there were words had at half-time and how to involve Honko in the game much more because him and Soliona both stepped up in that second half. Just some interesting things from the stats. So we don't have live stats, so I have been scribbling down my own stats to try and provide us with some stats in this game. And one of the things you might notice is all these arrows going across. And what that shows you is all the times that we've had a penalty and they've decided to take a scrum. And boy, did that happen in some bursts.
Wow.
So I reckon we had probably about 4 each where they turned down penalties for a scrum, which
it became a little bit of a macho. It became a little bit of a macho fest for sure, no question. And professional rugby games shouldn't. They should have taken the points. They needed the points.
Exactly. Austin got through. I counted at least 10 lineouts. I'm sure I missed a couple, whereas Utah only had a handful. So clearly they had a lot more, and that came about because I think the penalties. I racked up Utah giving away 11 penalties to Austin's 8. So yeah, Utah's discipline needs to be picked up on. I think, and I think partially from, as you say, a lot of players playing on their playing on their own rather than as a team. So, Paul,
let me ask you a question. What do you think about the fitness? What do you think about the fitness? As an overseas commentator, I know you'll be doing a super game right at this one. What do you think of the fitness level of these games you've seen in the MLR?
I think Austin definitely faded in that last 10 minutes. They have. Yep. I think, I don't think Austin's fitness was up to it. Now, I'm not great on USA geography, I'll be honest. But my understanding is Utah's pretty high up elevation,
absolutely.
Whereas Austin is probably fairly closer to sea level, I think. So maybe it was that. Maybe it was the altitude issue there that might have caused that, which might be giving Utah and Glendale. I think that they're the two teams at altitude an advantage over the others. Whatever it is, 5 teams.
One of the things I'm trying to do is focus on particularly the 30 players that got named the 16 MLR players that got named to represent the Eagles in the series. So today I was watching Tamalau, Hanko, and Lasike. Lasike, of course, had a great game on both sides of the ball. Hanko, a little off in the first half, but he certainly picked it up in that try. Just shows what a threat he is offensively.
No, we've lost you again. I expect Lasike to be starting if with that kind of performance. That's why he wouldn't be. Honko, as you say, he came back and played well. Tamalo took some flack in the Facebook feed, to be honest. People thought that he was perhaps not showing the kind of enjoyed it when he had the ball, but not showing the work rate that you want from that kind of player.
Absolutely. I just thought, in watching the fitness levels, Tamalau, the 8, for Utah, I thought he picked his spots too much. He was replaced after 55 minutes. If you're going to go for 55 minutes in a rugby game and you're going to call yourself an international player, you have got to be moving for 55 minutes. And I just didn't see that in this particular game. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He's obviously a great player. But today, it's clear we've got some fitness issues. There's no doubt. And that'll improve too. No question. But as any rugby player or rugby coach will tell you, the one thing you have control over in a rugby game is your fitness. The one thing.
Absolutely, Even the least skilled person can run all game if he's fit enough. You're right. And exactly. I think whilst Tamalau, as you say, is on the Utah side, I thought Austin really struggled in that last 10 minutes for fitness. And I really don't understand why Laseke was taken off. I'll be honest, taken off on the hour mark. The most impactful player for Utah, and I'm like, are you trying to lose this game? Because all of your good attack has come through him. That's where all your scores have come from. How are you taking him off?
I've never as I've come back into the game in the last 4 years. The substitution philosophy, I still can't get my arms around it with certain decisions, and today might have been one of them, but who knows, maybe Gary Gold called up and said, hey, get him off the field, or something like that. I don't know. What an impactful player though. I mean, I'll look very forward to seeing him against Russia and Scotland and Canada this summer. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. I think he's got to start. I don't know in depth.
Well, we've got some other 12s. Bryce Campbell for Glendale is a great player. He just got signed by the London Irish, announced today. So we're delighted about that for another American to be playing in the championship. And if he had gotten to play this year, it would have been the Premiership.
So let's take a little side alley down there.
Yeah.
Ben Foden has been. I've not actually seen it announced, but I've seen everyone talking about the fact that he's going to be playing for Rugby United New York. And someone actually tweeted me and said, Paul, Ben Foden's heading over to America. Is America going to be the new France with sort of big salaries and stealing all the players? And I'm like, no, slow down, boy. Then,
well, they might steal all the players, but I don't know about the big salaries thing to start. So, there is no way. I think this league has done a really good job putting together the salary structure. And it's a pretty modest structure this year. And let's praise the players. No one's getting rich here, right? No one's getting rich, okay, this year. And no one's going to get rich next year. We've got to just continue to build the brand, which I think all the teams are doing. It's fantastic. That was a great event today. I mean, it looked like a great professional sporting event in the United States today. So the game will pick up. More money will come in. Sponsorship will come in. And hopefully we'll be able to get some of those players to raise the levels to the standards that on every show I'm going to evangelize my love for the USA Eagles. What can I tell you? So.
Oh, absolutely. We are 5-10 years away at the least from from the MLR to start competing with the European salaries. So no, for those of you who are watching from Europe,
that won't happen. That won't happen. It just 10 years, even 10 years. I don't see that. I don't see it happening. Actually, we should talk about that on another show because I could see it happening. But certain things have to happen at the governance level in the United States rugby scene for that to be able to happen.
Right,
and it has to do with it has to do with marketing rugby throughout the country, and making the game available, making our brand available.
So that means that so your people are watching from the UK and and Ireland. Don't worry about all your players getting poached by the USA, by the MLR. That's not going to happen anytime soon. It's interesting to see, but that's
And of course, Chris Wiles, who's just had a great run this season for the Saracens. I mean, his final year, what a great year he's had. Maybe he'll play a swan song year or two in the MLR, and there's been rumor of that too, and we would love that here. I mean, that would just really be a great, impetus for some young players to learn from literally a rugby legend now, and also, upgrade the standard of the game in the country, and also, kind of the name brand that we're trying to achieve as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I hadn't mentioned him because it's still rumor. It's not clear as to whether he is or isn't going to at the moment.
Right.
But yet. Can you look forward to more Premiership teams trying to pick up Americans in relegation? Look, we've had Americans over in the UK playing for quite a lot of teams. We've got AJ McGinty at Sale Sharks. We've got a couple at Ealing Trailfinders. We're just going off to I've gone blank. London Irish. We've also seen the captain of the Canadian side, the Maple Leafs, playing in Super Rugby down in New Zealand for the Chiefs. So these players are going to travel around.
What a fantastic season he's having. What a fantastic season that kid's having.
Absolutely.
I forget his name right now, but oh my gosh. Yeah, great player. Andrew Duratolo just retired. So, from the 15s code. So he was playing at Ealing. I think he played a few games for Worcester this year as well on loan. I think it's the dream of any American player to play overseas. And I know that if I was a guy like Bryce Campbell right now, I would definitely go overseas and have that experience with London Irish. No question. The MLR will be here, and there are good players that will be able to come in and develop so that we get more top quality players playing the game at a high level. And congratulations to Bryce, because that's a great achievement.
So back to the game, and we talk about the coverage of the game, and we talk about pictures and that kind of stuff. So we're just left with players of the game. We mentioned a few of them, obviously. Matt Jensen was good, but also Tuipulotu, the hooker for Utah, got himself around the pitch as well.
Absolutely, yep. But it's definitely the 12. The 12 stood out so badly today, so well today. Just had a great game. No question who the man of the match is.
Yeah, absolutely. Laseki was definitely man of the match, even if he only paid for 3/4 of the game.
You've got a bone to pick with that one. I like it.
I just, well, it's rare to pick the basically the man of the match to not be on for the last 20 minutes. Really, not normally they are.
Right.
And the other thing that confused me initially was to see that I think it was Austin had basically switched some of their players around, had some of their substitutes actually start the game. So we had like jerseys number 21 and 19, I think, or 18 on the pitch.
No idea here on that. I've got no intel on that. I'm sure I could ask my friend Mr. Castro to find something out, but no, I have no idea on that. But I found it strange too.
That was very strange, and it definitely confused me early doors. I know some of the chat on the Major League Rugby Reddit has been, shouldn't we have set numbers for players, and players have their own number? Personally, whilst I'm still learning a lot of the players and things, I find it much easier to have a number by position. Then at least I've got some idea as to who's running around in that place.
I think we're early days in the MLR, so we no complaints. Everything's from I think everyone's level of expectation has at least been met or exceeded. And I believe to this time. So anything we're talking about are positive type constructive criticisms.
Oh yeah, no, this was just how you market it to an American audience, whether they should have, because in NFL, in fact, in every sport, I'd be a big believer in having the heat press names on the back. I think it's important as anyone watching that game would not know Lasike's name is Lasike unless, they knew him. And they need to be selling some number 12 jerseys from Utah that say Lasike on them because kids are going to want that, And that's what, we'll get there, but I think anytime we can promote the brand, whether it's a name or a team or a club or a union or anything, you want to be promoting your brand in this professional commercial atmosphere. And if that's putting names on the back of jerseys so that some fans can some kids can get some heroes, I'm fine with that. Totally fine with that. Yep, and you see that in like Exeter Chiefs, for example, they have the first 15 have their names on, and then the substitutes just have Chiefs on, which I think is a bit strange.
Chiefs, exactly.
I would rather.
That's all right.
I'd rather all the players have their names on, even the substitutes. But there you go.
Well, there's probably some logistics behind that neither you nor I would want to be part of. So I can appreciate that. But it would be nice if we had names on the back. And in my opinion,
one fun one was that the Sale Sharks, for example, went up to an away game and suddenly decided to play their 9 at 10, and there was a couple of cheeky comments going, so that do they have 23 jerseys for every single player just in case?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
But yes. Okay, wait, sorry. Big diversions there. Any last points? Because I think I've exhausted.
No. Are we doing the game tomorrow? I'm going to be going to the Seattle. I wasn't, because of family issues, I wasn't able to travel this week to New Orleans, but I'm going to be going to the watch party in Redmond, Washington tomorrow, and I'm sure there'll be a bunch of people there. We're going to have some fun. I'd love to do a show with you after the game. Maybe we could do some interviews with some famous people from Seattle.
Do I get up?
Are we able to do the game tomorrow? It's early. I'll talk to you after the game.
You've twisted my arm. Okay, right. I'll set my alarm for 5 o'clock in the morning, and we'll do the game tomorrow.
There you go, mate. Let's do it. There you go, mate. Good man. Seattle Seawolves. We'll see you tomorrow. And everyone, thanks for watching. And again, I got to put a little plug in here for the Rugby World Cup. It's being hosted in San Francisco in July. There are still tickets available. It's going to be amazing. Please come from wherever you are in the world. Come to the United States in July for the Rugby World Cup Sevens.
And especially if you live in Seattle, I believe, not Seattle, sorry, in San Francisco, where it's been
San Francisco.
Jeez. If you live in San Francisco, day tickets have gone on sale recently. So you don't have to buy the whole weekend. Yes, that's correct. So if you live there, pop in just for the day, go watch it. Obviously, if you're traveling, you're going to want to get the weekend ticket because you want to be there for all of it. But hey, if you live in San Francisco, pop down for the day because hey, it's going to be fantastic.
It's pretty amazing.
And having been to a number of Hong Kong Sevens, Sevens tournaments are absolutely a blast. Anyway,
Yes,
Tony,
sir.
let people know where they
Absolutely.
can get hold of you. And
Yeah, I do a blog, www.blog.ridnell.com this way.
no, sorry, you
blog.
down to your
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Blog this way. Blog.ridnell.com, and I write on some governance issues in USA Rugby. We've got some challenges in the country at this time. One of the bright spots is certainly the MLR and what they've done this year.
And yes, I'm Paul Bay. I'm Paul yet, behind Driving Maul. Twitter handle just down there. Always up for good rugby chat down below. Dial in after the game tomorrow afternoon, or tomorrow evening, whatever time it is in the USA, because Tony and I will be back. And I think we might also have Rob from Rugby North America or something like that, Twitter handle. So,
nice.
So I think we'll have an extra guest as well, because he said he could do it, and I said no, I'll be asleep, but now I'm not going to be. So anyway,
excellent. All right, man.
Thank you, everybody.
See you tomorrow.
Enjoy
Thanks,
watching.
Cheers. Bye bye.